Hey guys, welcome back to the new episode of Symposium. I am super excited about this episode. I've been trying to get this guy in here for a little while, but he is super busy, and that's also one of the reasons I want to talk to you. I got Brett Wagner from Wagner Roofing and Construction in here today. I work with a lot of people in the in-home service industry, but when it comes to grinders and people who've built a business in a short period of time, I think Brett stands at the top of that list. The guy seems to be working at all hours of the day and constantly making improvements and changes and looking for insight. And in this element, he's one of the more creative people I've ever worked with. So I just want to welcome Brett to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And I'm going to ask him some questions and kind of break down some of the strategies he's used to grow his business the way he has and some of the things that help him stand out in the industry.
Strategies? We just wing it, man.
Okay. So with that being said, big question is, how did you end up starting Wagner? And can you kind of go into that growth trajectory that you've had over the last few years?
Yeah, so I started Wagner 13 years ago now. I had kind of held every position you could at another company. So I was a sales manager, production manager, I was a foreman at one point in time, and I got a lot of experience, had some good people around me, and the owner at some point in time just kind of seen different things and where we wanted to go. And I quit that and took the leap of faith and started my own thing. And it's been a ride, man. I didn't have a plan whatsoever when I did it. I just knew through hell or high water I was going to do this one way or the other, and I still kind of operate that way today. We were able to take off just through my sales skills and my knowledge of roofing. So we've grown every year for the last 13 years, and I look to really put the pedal to the metal about 3 years ago. And the first year we did it, we tripled the size, which anybody that's ever done that, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I wouldn't suggest it, but it was probably one of the best lessons I learned. We didn't have the infrastructure in place. We were just going for it. So recently we kind of backtracked to put that structure in place, and we slowed the growth down a little bit, but we're getting there.
I mean, I would reiterate, grew every year for 13 years. It's almost unheard of, if not nearly impossible, in the business world.
Yeah, I was really fortunate because we've always been creative and personal. Even some of the stuff that we talk about today, we do these videos, and it's not necessarily to sell you anything. It's more so to educate you and to show what someone like myself looks for. And like I said, every year we just kept gaining more and more traction. And where we started up in Oakwood, Ohio, is actually a village. So the market is small. There's only so many projects I can do around there. Even if I did 100% of them, we would have never got to where we are today. So we transitioned from Oakwood. We still have a production shop in Oakwood. We've moved to Defiance, and we started to open up other offices to kind of, I want to say, grab a little bit more attention. But it was, I was curious to know if I could compete in bigger markets. We've done pretty well so far.
Yeah, I mean, since I've known you, you guys went from a small location in Oakwood to a big location in Defiance, to opening a Dayton location, and starting to open your St. Louis location and get that up and running. So I mean, these markets, and this is in a short period of time. This is 3 years. So I have to ask, man, what drives you when you wake up? What drives you to make that kind of progress in that kind of time frame?
It's almost to prove a point to nobody but myself. Just to see what I'm capable of and what I'm made of. I think that's been one of the biggest driving forces. But through that, I've been able to capture some some other things that really have added fuel to the fire, I guess. You know, when you start adding employees, the focus shifts a little bit. So now it's my responsibility to make sure that I'm putting my staff in the best position that I can. So I don't know. I've got this internal flame. I've got a mark I want to hit. For no reason, nobody will ever know probably when I hit it. It's just something that's been ingrained in me that I can say, you know what, I did that. And I did it basically from nothing, but an idea. And I'll tell you a story. This is something that a lot of my team knows, but I don't share it too often. You know, I took off on this path, you know, to build a business, and it was good, it was comfortable. I'm not good with comfort. I got myself into some addiction issues and stuff like that, and caused some problems with work and with family and stuff like that. And I ended up went and got some help multiple times, but at a certain point, I realized I couldn't do it anymore. And I think that was ultimately what ignited this inner flame, which I would tell people awoke my inner lion. And at that point in time, I was pretty hell-bent on figuring out what I was made of. You know, as a leader in anything, your job is to uplift everyone around you. And the only way to do that is if you are constantly focused on self-improvement. You know, so the higher I can lift myself, the more that I can give back to my team and raise them up. And I say that's what drives me today. You know, the successes of the new sales guy that comes in or something like that, you know.
That's awesome. I think about you and how I know you fairly well. We've been working together a long time, but like the three facets that just inspire me. Like as a business owner, I love being surrounded by other business owners that are doing these things. But your involvement with your business and how much heart you put into that. You're a family man. That's extremely important. You make time for your family no matter what. And then your community involvement. I mean, I've been in with you in the community. It's never like if we work on a testimonial or something, it's nothing but smiles and joy, and people are genuinely excited to see you out there. So, I mean, those three facets, I mean, they're extremely impressive and something, you know, I think all business owners strive to do. I mean, can you talk about balance a little bit without getting too crazy personal?
I'm pretty fortunate. I've got an extremely supportive wife who allows me to constantly chase my dreams. But I'm intentional with my time in the fact that, you know, I go on these strings, you know, of a week or so. I'm traveling and I'm running. And I know when I get back, like I want to spend some real solid quality time with my wife and my kids. Me and my wife talk about this because life kind of has a way of getting away from you. You get busy and stuff like that. And I think the thing that always brings us back to that happy place is the date night, you know. Just me and her, nothing else going on in the world, you know. Or even them couple little moments that you get with your kids that realize that everything you do has got a bigger purpose. You know, they're watching. They don't exactly know what you're doing yet, but I hope at some point in time, the memory of me is that Dad was willing to go for it and to show us that you can have anything in this world that you want, as long as you're willing to sacrifice and work for it. You know, in the community is really a big thing to me too. You know, we set up these offices and we look to hire local. You know, I'm from a small farm community, So it's important to me that I can stay engaged and involved. I'm on the economic board of directors for Paulding, which we had our banquet last night, and it was really cool to see what they're focused on. It's something I'm very proud to be part of. You know, when I first told you we were going to open up this office in Dayton, and I said, hey, find me a good spot. Let's just go walk around. And I wanted to see it, feel it, and I fell in love with the area, you know, which was one of them things that was like, okay, I like this. Now I need some good local people that share the same values I do, you know, and it's important for them to give back. And St. Louis is the same. Every time I get out there, I just fall more in love with the city. And I'm just an old country boy. Like, I like my one-lane roads with cornfields on both sides, but I love going out there, and to me, I'm a part of something bigger. You know what I mean? But my home is always still that old cornfield. So
It's awesome. I try to ask everyone who does the show 3 questions, and we'll start with the negative one. I try to keep it as positive as possible. What's one mistake you made in business that if you could teach any other young entrepreneur not to do, what would it be?
Be prepared. I think the biggest mistake that I made was growing as fast as we did. It was really painful. We outgrew our resources in a very quick manner. And that's something that we've since been focused on fixing. But I wasn't prepared for all the other things. I was just going to go, and I guess I was going to be as big as I possibly could, with no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, the way that businesses succeed is by being profitable and cash flowing and all these things. And that's what I lost track of. You know, I was just going to go after every opportunity possible. You know, and every opportunity is not a good opportunity. And I think that was one of the hardest lessons that I had to learn. It was painful grind to get back to the good spots, but it also really gave me that lesson, like, I think the mistake was the best thing I could have done, and it was the worst thing that I could have done. So I think what I would tell younger people is to do it strategically. Don't just give her hell and hope for the best. That's still me, I guess, but I put a team to calm that down around me. So
It's awesome. So let's flip that coin over. What's one thing that you think it contributed to some of your success, and one thing you're proud of in that process?
The people I'm surrounded with. When we started focusing on values, hiring people with similar values to myself in the company, that was the best thing that I could have done. And I'm just an old roofer with a big vision, and I'm not good at everything. But if you look at the way that my work life and my home life are structured, there's people around me that do all of the things I don't do well, and I think that's the ticket. Like, I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I'm happy about that. So I would say that's it.
The last question: what's a big a goal that you plan when you're willing to share? What's a goal of yours as a entrepreneur or as a business owner that you'd like to see achieved?
That I would like to share. So the way that I look at this is, business is really similar to sports, right? So I'm going to explain this in a roundabout way. So you've got junior high teams, you've got varsity teams, you've got college, you've got D1, And then you've got 5 teams at the top of that, right? And 5 or 10% of them people go to the NFL. And there's, 27 NFL teams, and there's 5 of them that are really good. I want to get in that group of 5 of real players in the roofing industry, and to win at a very high rate repetitively. That's my ultimate mission, is to win. Not to win once, because that goes away. You celebrate it, you get the championship, you're great, it goes away. But to create something that wins for generations to come. And I think that's what we're ultimately working on now. And it's what my obsession with everything being right, you know, all the time. We were talking a little bit before this, and I look at these details that people never think about. So my goal is to win, and to win big, by just being better than everybody else in the roofing space. So
That's awesome. That has perfectly answered my question. This has been one of my most enjoyable podcasts, and I think it's going to be meaningful to all of you, so very much appreciate it.
yeah, I appreciate you having me. How long have you been doing my media? 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, 2-3 years.
2-3 years. I know that when we first met, you probably thought I was a little crazy, but I appreciate you guys' openness to working with all my out of the ordinary ideas, and answering my text at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, like, hey, I've got this great idea. So it's been a pleasure to work with you guys, for sure.
No, I appreciate that. I think there's times when you have clients that help you grow, and you've done that for us as well. So.